Pixelmator tutorial. In my last Pixelmator tutorial a couple of weeks ago, I covered double exposure. So in this tutorial I'm going to cover masks, and we're going to achieve the same type of effect, double exposure, but we're going to do it using masks, and we'll try and do some cool effect using text and brushes as well. So you can follow along if you want. Just use whatever image you want to you want to use. Put your just end up putting your logo or your text over the top of it, but we'll try and finish with a cool effect. So like I said, I'm going to add some text to this image, and we're going to go from left to right with the text as you look at the screen. So I'm going to want to flip this image horizontally, so I just go edit and flip horizontal. So now I've got the tree the other side, so my mask, the tree is going to be behind my text here. So we're going to have a mask of my text using the tree. And then we're going to want to add a new layer by clicking the little plus button here in our layers. Plus button. And then I'm going to want to go to my tools and use the paint bucket tool. If you haven't got your tools on the screen like this, just press Command and 1, which hides and shows your tools. Or you can go up here, View, and hide and show tools right there. So I've selected the paint bucket tool. I'm then going to select a color. So to select the colors, it is just I think it's Shift, Command and C. Hides and show the colors. Yep, Shift, Command and C. But likewise, again, you can go to the top, View, hide and show colors right there. And I'm just going to select white. Now remember, you can select whatever images it is you like. I've just deselected my paint bucket tool up here, so I've reselected my paint bucket tool, select the color white, and then I'm going to make sure my layer, my blank layer, is highlighted at the top. And then I'm just going to left click, and it will fill my my layer for me. So I'm then going to go back and choose my selection tool and drag this layer. I'm just going to left click and hold, drag it below the background layer. So now I'm going to add some text. So I'm going to click the text on the tools bar and just drag out an area for my just click to add my text. Now if you can't see your text, it's because it goes behind the background layer, so just drag it on top of the background layer for now. And then all I'm going to do is type in 13. Now I want this, I want these numbers a little bit closer, so I could do one of two things. I could do two numbers on separate layers, or I could just use this like so and make it, double click it so it's highlighted, and make it 10%, so it just drags the text a little bit closer. I could do it even more, so I could go minus, just double click in the box, and I could type minus 15 and see how close that takes me. It takes me a little bit closer, which I'm a little bit happy with. And then I'm going to want to resize my text, so I've kept it highlighted, you can see. I'm going to go here where it says 200, and I'm going to type in 500. Now this is all personal preference, so whatever size you want to use, and I'm just very much using it ad hoc here. I'm just best guess. So you can't see the text, so you have to drag it out because we've resized it. These little control points here around the text, drag it out and then move the text to where you want it. So is this text big enough? Yes, I'm happy with this text. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click on this text and duplicate the text, so I've got a copy of the 13 here, and I'm just going to double click it so it highlights it, and I'm going to type in the words design. Double click so it highlights. We can't see all of design because it's too big and it's outside the control points. Let me demonstrate that for you. So it's outside of these, so I'm just going to double click and then make this text 200 in size. So type it in, press plus, I've got two S's there. And now am I happy with the size of this text? And I'm just going to move it here. Yes, I'm happy with the size of the text, and I'm going to leave it right here, so it seems as though it's on top of this grass. And like I say, I'm just sort of going with the flow here and seeing what happens. So this is our text, and this is where we're at the moment. Now we're getting to a bit of a trickier part now. So I'm going to drag the design underneath or below the 13, and the design is still highlighted. With the design still highlighted, I'm going to left click command and highlight the 13 text and drag them both below the background layer. Okay, so then I'm going to highlight the background layer in my layers, just so I've deselected both of the others. That's the only reason. Now we're going to create a mask using this number 13 here. So the way we do this, we highlight the layer. Now on the placeholder right here, I'm going to command and left click on the placeholder, and if you look at the screen, you'll see the outline as a dotted outline of what I have got selected. Then I'm going to go to my background layer at the top, highlight it, right click and click add mask. So all it's going to do is mask this background layer, is going to hide behind everything else apart from the outline that you can see here. So right click, add mask, and now you can just see the background layer, and all we've got is our bottom white layer showing. Okay, simple. Then I'm press command D on my keyboard and it deselects the little dots around the outside, you can see. Now if you look in this background layer at the top, the mask layer, I can select either or of these images. I can select the background, or I can select the mask of 13, the number 13. Okay, this is annotated by a blue thick line around the one that you have selected. So we want selected the 13. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to feather these edges out a little bit and show a bit more of the background, deleting some of the white by using a brush. So we're going to go up here, I'm going to go view, hide or show brushes. At the moment we're showing our brushes, but it's underneath here. So I can see my brushes there. If you can't see them, command +4 hides and shows you brushes. So we've got our brushes right here. Now on our brushes here, we've got this little tools, this little settings with the arrow next to it. So select it and then just make sure you're selected, or you have selected smoke. And again, this is personal preference. You can choose one of the others. Just play around with the images. The important thing is that 1, you've got the 13 selected, and 2, we have our brush selected in our tools. Now we're going to select one of these smoke brushes, one of these smoke shapes, and then I'm going to drag down the diameter until it's around 50, 56. So I've selected this one here, and I've dragged it down so it's around 50, 56. And then all I'm going to do with my paintbrush selected up here, I'm just going to feather the edges of this 13 so it takes away. I'm just going to keep pressing and pressing so it takes away the edges. You can either keep clicking left click, or you can hold and just sort of rub out or reveal more of the background. So you can see all I'm doing is sort of revealing the background, and I'm just going to break up a little bit the actual shape of the number. That's all I'm doing, just randomly. I'm not doing it in any sort of methodical order. I'm just there's no method to my shape. All I'm doing is just randomly removing the outline, or some of the outline of the number, but I'm being careful to still leave the number visible. Now all I'm doing is showing some of this tree here. So you get the idea of what I'm doing. So I'm not completely removing the number, but I am breaking the number up a little bit. Now I'll show you what I'm going to do with that bottom part in a minute. All I'm doing is breaking this number up a little bit more, and I want to reveal, if I can, as much of the tree. So all I've got is this left click. I've just got left click held. And all I'm doing is breaking up the actual shape. So you can see what I've done there. And then I'm going to go along this this bottom edge here. And again, just to break up this text a little bit. And then when I've got to here, so I want this to be quite light. When I've got to here, I'm going to select another smoke layer that's a little bit denser. I'm going to drag the diameter down a little bit, and let's just see what happens here. Okay, so I've just selected another one. And all I'm doing is colouring this in a little bit darker. I just want the darker bottom to the I just want to see what it looks like. If I had to undo it all, I would undo it all. That's no dramas, but I think it looks okay with the dark bottom like this, and you can still see the grass quite easily. It's going along, so you can still see the grass quite easily. And I'm going to go back to my original brush, and I'm just going to break this up a little bit. But I'm not going to sort of go overboard with it. I still want you to be able to see what it says. And up here, I'm just going to roughly colour in just to break the white up, really. Show a few more of those leaves. So, I am sort of going to leave it like this, and you can go as far as you like with this, and you could sort of add a few filters to it and see what happens to the colour. I might add a few and just display them at the end, just so we can see what happens to the colour. But this is using masks, and this is using brushes to feather edges away to break up an actual shape that you've put in using the mask. So remember, this 13 is the mask, and so if I turn this mask layer off, I'd just have my normal 13 design on a white background. But you know, we've made quite a nice sort of composition there, if you like, and it's a really simple effect, and you can make a fantastic screensaver, or you can do something really cool with your logo or your own sort of name, or you could even use faces. I would suggest using black and white, but you could use faces to create yourself a nice effect. So I hope you enjoyed this this tutorial. Just so you know, my videos are released every Friday, and I just try and mix them up as much as I can, as and when I get an idea. So I will try and do some more FCPX ones like I've promised, and obviously Enlight and Motion 5 and all that good stuff will keep coming. So thanks a lot for watching, thanks a lot for your support, catch you all later, bye.